Well, we're still seeing a lot of skeptics, even after that more details that we got from South Korea's presidential office that said that North Korea is willing to invite nuclear experts and journalists from South Korea and the U.S. to actually have the full disclosure of its dismantling of one nuclear test site. Perhaps words like that, sort of limiting the scope of dismantlement, and of course, just talking about how it's not really the only Korea that needs to denuclearize, but the wording is denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula. So I think details like that still have a lot of skeptics going and questioning North Korean leader Kim Jong-un's real intentions here. And we've been doing a lot of analysis, and I'm glad to tell you we've got Andrew Gilholm, Director of Analysis from Control Risks, to help with that analysis further. Andrew, thank you so much for joining us today. So let me first get your reaction. The summit, as well as the follow-through that we got on the weekend. Are you convinced?
Well, I think we're not really going to know where this is going until Kim Jong-un and Donald Trump meet. I think there's maybe a little bit of unrealistic expectations for what we were going to get out of the Kim-Moon summit, which was never going to go into details on denuclearization, which is what everybody wants and what will really drive the outcome of this. So I think the atmospherics were good. It builds on what's gone before, but we're not really going to get any answers, I don't think, until much closer to or when they actually sit down for that U.S.-North Korea summit.
And we just heard this morning that China is sending the foreign minister to North Korea. Certainly, this is the dynamics have not really changed at all. I mean, South Korea is turning to the U.S., North Korea turning to China. That intimate relationship still the same. Nothing has changed.
Yeah, I mean, you can see why all the headlines now are looking back at previous attempts at negotiations and how they fell down. We're basically going to have to go down, some of those same routes again, with the difficulties about phasing, about verification. I think China is obviously got back involved now, and they're going to be very important because ultimately North Korea is going to have to give up a huge amount now if these talks are going to progress with Kim and Trump. And for that to happen, I think North Korea really needs to feel more comfortable in its relationship with China because it's a huge leap in the dark for Kim Jong-un as well.
What's your base case for the Trump-Kim summit? What are you expecting to see out of that?
Yeah, well, of course, this is incredibly hard to predict, but I think if it goes ahead, that means they've basically got some kind of agreement in place. I think it'd probably be quite vague, a lot of shared principles, etc., etc. That's going to draw criticism, but for it even to take place, I think there has to be some kind of positive outcome that is going to start the process. Unlike the last two rounds of negotiations, I think there's that little chance that Kim Jong-un comes out with a surprise and is much more bold in his concessions, but to be honest, I would be amazed if we got very far down the denuclearization path without Washington also doing a bit more to address the North Korean security demands, and it's very unclear what that's going to look like.
Hey everybody, it's Hadley Gamble from our new CNBC Middle East Bureau in Abu Dhabi. Thanks for stopping by. Now to watch more, you can try one of the videos that just popped up on your screen. And don't forget to subscribe.